What's happening guys, King GPL here, and welcome back to some Go Battle League. Today I'm going to be showcasing a very strong team, and an original team that I came up with all by myself.
And so we've got Serperior with Carbink and Dugong.
This is an original team that I came up with, and I want to say a big thank you to myself for being such a fantastic content creator. All joking aside guys, this team got me from 2630 up to 2900 today. Big thank you to xehr felrose. I was using a variation of this team, an actual original variation of this team, using Annihilate instead of Dugong. However, I was struggling a little bit. I dropped down to 2630. xehr recommended this team to me and it worked super well. I got up to around 2900 elo today. And yeah, once again, big thank you to xehr felrose. I will leave a link to that video and his channel in the description down below. So hopping into the battles here, we can see that we've got the Annihilate versus Carbink matchup. This matchup's quite interesting. Now, I played this exact matchup probably 10 or 15 times, and this one occasion is the only time that they called the rock slide bait. Every other time they shielded. Pretty much how I like to play this matchup is, if you get this in a one-on-one matchup, shield the Shadow Ball, and look to bait the rock slide and then go for the Moonblast. If you correctly shield a Shadow Ball on the first time around, you can successfully bait the opponent and get off a Moonblast, either getting both of their shields or winning the ones. Now unfortunately, this is an extremely hard team to beat. The thing that is great about Serperior that I really like, and especially in this meta with no Skarmory, having Frenzy Plant and having a lot of flying types that are either water or ground typing allows you to hit them for neutral damage. So in the Great League Remix, if you lose lead, that does not necessarily mean lose game. On many occasions, what I would end up doing is just safe swapping in either Carbink or Dugong, farming down the opponent with Serperior, and at that point you basically guarantee a shield off a flyer with Serperior. So that is kind of a good strat, and it is a good way to kind of play out of some of these tricky matchups. Now speaking of tricky matchups here, we do have Toxapex versus Dugong. This is a decently good matchup for Dugong. As you can see, if they go straight Sludge Wave and start shielding, it can get a little bit dicey. Toxapex is just super bulky, so it is kind of hard to take this thing out. That one drill run does not quite KO, but because the opponent, they actually give up swap here, which is kind of insane, the opponent will end up locking themselves in with Serperior. But what we can actually look to do now is come in and basically start farming up a ton of energy with the Serperior here. Now in this matchup, if they are Shadow, I think you can just about farm it the whole way down before they make 2 Stone Edges. If it's non-Shadow, that's something that you can't quite do, so you must be willing to invest a shield, unless you want to eat a Stone Edge. As you're seeing right here, the opponent gets off a Mud Bomb, that's perfectly fine. They still have energy in Toxapex. I'm more than happy to throw some energy in Toxapex if they do come back in, but they come into Mantine, and we're seeing once again, Serperior is just such an absolute beast. We're going to do about 50% damage to the Mantine, and we're going to come into, of course, Carbink. The opponent still has a low health Toxapex with a move, but Carbink is just so dominant in these matchups where like it just doesn't matter. It's going to take them 3 water pulses to KO. I decided to let this move go. I think they even get off a second one. I am sort of forced to shield at this point. We can shield this move, look to farm it the whole way down, and I think we can even just farm down the Mantine. We don't have to throw any energy here. I think we could even just about still tank a move, and yeah, the opponent kind of realizes, doesn't throw the attack, and that's good games. Let's hop into the next battle, and before we do so folks, do me a quick favor. These are battles from this morning, so these are completely new battles that nobody's ever seen before. Drop a like in the video, subscribe to the channel if you've not yet done so, absolutely free. I'd very much appreciate it. Thank you very much guys for all the support in the videos, and in this matchup here, I'm expecting the opponent to have Power Punch, so I decided to respect it. If I can take lead and, okay, so the opponent comes into the Fairthorn. Yeah, generally, even if I have to go down a shield, I don't mind taking lead and keeping health on Serperior. This thing is just so good into so many teams. Now, Fairthorn is quite an interesting matchup for this team. Here's a few need to knows about this Pokemon for this team. Serperior is your main answer to it. Dugong is not an answer to Fairthorn. No matter how many times you debuff them, you will not be able to live 2 Power Whips. That's something that you absolutely need to know. If you think that you can just Icy Wind and live 2 Power Whips, that's not going to happen. So you sort of always have to soft lose the Fairthorn match if you have it on Dugong. It's always an option to stay in 2 shield, get the 2 shields off the opponent, debuff it into Oblivion, and look to get an energy lead with Serperior. That is something I've done a few times. In this matchup right here, I absolutely potato throw the drill run right here. This is at like 5:30 this morning. As you can see, it's not even bright outside yet. We do make it to another Icy Wind. I'm actually 5-hitting the opponent here, not giving them extra energy with the debuffs. But honestly, I just completely blind for the drill run. I'm not sure why. Either way, we get the shield. And because we're getting a huge farm down here with Carbink, we should be basically in a good position. We get like 7 or 8 rock throws or something. And we're going to look to basically 1 and throw on the Hypno whenever it comes back. And the Fairthorn is on super low health. So good games well played. Let me know in the comment section down below, guys. Have you been enjoying Great League Remix? Have you had any teams that have been successful for you? And, you know, how are you thinking about it so far? Honestly, I absolutely love Great League Remix. We do end up going 2 for in that set. In this set, we had some very, very strong core breakers and just bad alignment. And we do end up going for a premium set, and we actually do pull off a 5-0 here. But Great League Remix, guys, I think it's a fantastic meta, man. I really hope, like, I really wish this was like a standard meta that's here every single season. I think this should be an absolute staple in Go Battle League. This meta is so much better, it's hard to describe how much better it is. In my personal opinion, compared to Open Great League, the reason this meta is so much better is because grass types have a lot of play. You can take your favorite grass type Pokemon, Serperior, Venusaur, Trevenant. Well, there's no Trevenant in this cup, but the point is, you can take a grass type Pokemon and you can farm something down and look to threaten flyers with these Pokemon. That's something that you're not able to do in the Open Great League, as the main flyer is Skarmory. The opponent goes for a very nice catch and Guzzlord here. We're already ABA weak to Carbink, surely we're not triple weak to Carbink, so we come into Stinky Binky here. We're going to farm this thing the whole way down. The opponent's on a very interesting moveset here actually. They're running Sludge Bomb, which on the safe swap I think definitely makes sense, right? You want to have some sort of coverage for things like Carbink. You're probably looking to try to draw out a fairy and go for a Sludge Bomb. For example, if I came into Granbull or something, they might just about make it to a Sludge Bomb and one-shot me. So it definitely is quite an interesting moveset here, but I wouldn't be running this ABA weak. They do have a poison type in the back, so they have a hard answer to fairies, which definitely makes sense. The opponent is running this as sort of an ABA team. I think if you're the opponent in these situations, because they have a fairly neutral lead in Sableye versus Serperior, I think what you have to do is just basically stay in and look to force alignment or try to fight for alignment. When you're running ABA and you swap out into your other, let's say for example A Pokemon, you're leaving yourself open to just a very tricky spot. If I'm running an ABB team against that, it just kind of makes it very dicey for them. They come back into the Sableye here. This Icy Wind will look to threaten the KO. And at this point, guys, I think we're one off a Frenzy Plant on the Serperior. I think the Carbink would be able to get to a move if need be. Toxapeg's fairly slow to the moves. It takes 8 to get to the Brine, which of course is a pretty terrible move in any case. We go for a Frenzy Plant, that's definitely enough to KO, and good games well played. So yeah, like I said, in this cup so far, I've climbed from 2580. That's where I started a few days ago, and I've climbed all the way up to 2900. I had a very negative set towards the end. You're going to see in this next upcoming set, I had quite a lot of lag. At a game where I was supposed to win the match, I threw the charge attack, but unfortunately the game completely lagged out and counted it as a loss for me, which is kind of annoying. Of course with Go Battle Day it is kind of laggy and stuff like that. In this match here, Serperior does quite well into Venusaur because we outpaced to the moves, and the opponent catches on a Steelix. Now, I'm not ready to swap out of this matchup just yet. I want to try and get some sort of an advantage here, whether it be shields, whether it be energy, whatever the case may be. We get all shields down on the opponent. The opponent's going straight for Psychic, they go for Crunch, but they didn't build up to an Earthquake or a heavy hitting move. We're going to go for Drill Run. Now, I underestimated this move. I thought that would do a little bit less. In that case, I probably should have undercharged a little bit, because no matter what, the opponent's getting off another Crunch here. We're getting quite low. We may be able to still get to a move on the Venusaur, especially if they throw energy, we'll definitely get to the move. The opponent goes for another very nice catch in Carbink, but that basically seals it and deals it for them. We still have the Serperior. I'm going to let the opponent take me out. Now in this situation, you might be thinking, why not swap out King? Well, it's basically because I want to do this. I want to come in with Serperior, build up a bunch of energy, and catch the Rock Slide. If I just swap straight into my, let's say for example, Serperior, yes, I can do a lot of damage, but then I'm going to be stuck with my Carbink on their Venusaur. So I want to put the Carbink on this. I want to get energy lead with Serperior. I want to leave no chances where like the opponent's going to Frenzy Plant my Carbink if I farm it down. You know, I want to just basically make this as safe as possible. We're going to shield absolutely nothing. The opponent builds up to 2 moves here. I'm going to CMP them on the move. I don't mind here whatsoever. I definitely could have went for the extra, but it's pretty unnecessary at this point. We'll go for the move. I'll look to basically Vine Whip this the whole way down. The opponent does not actually have to shield these moves. They can let one go for sure. We have our Frenzy Plant banged, and we're going to look to fire it straight away. Good games well played. So in this meta, we do have a decent amount of Carbinks. In my personal opinion though, Carbink is nowhere near as bad as something like a Bastiodon, just because it plays quite neutrally into fighting, and also it's not got the joint steel typing, which is kind of what makes Bastiodon super overpowered, because it just resists so many things. Carbink, it's super weak to grass, it's neutral against poison, it's weak against, of course, ground and water. There are so many hard walls to Carbink in a lot of different ways, or a lot of Pokemon that completely destroy it. With Bastiodon, it's just, you know, super bulky. I think it's a little bit bulkier than Carbink. And things like Skarmory or Steelwing users don't really have the greatest of times against it. In this next matchup here, we have Dugong versus Dugong. An interesting note on this matchup. Let's say, for example, if you're at even energy, you want to go for an Icy Wind first on the Dugong. We're going to go for this move here. The opponent does, of course, win CMP, unfortunately. I decide to let this go, and I think take a farm down with maybe Serperior. I'm down a shield, I can't really go down both, but the opponent swaps into Fairthorn, doing me an absolutely massive favour here. I'm going to overfarm as much as possible. We both overfarm, trying not to throw an alignment. We do end up CMP tying here. Whenever the opponent swaps a free turn move into your 2-turn move, it's kind of hard to time it right, so I oftentimes let the opponent throw first. As long as the move's not going to one-shot me, I can happily just let the move go and let them throw first, which means that they have a chance of giving me a free move, and of course I'm not going to give them a free one. Whenever you're climbing up the ranks, you know, move timing is basically everything, and optimizing energy is everything. These matches come down to one move most of the time, so you have to optimize as much as possible. The opponent aggro swaps back into Marowak, which is great. However, the thing is, my Serperior is getting quite low, and they're drawing back out the Carbink, which will of course allow them to kind of take care of it with their Ferrothorn. So Serperior has a lot of work to do. We had a very negative lead in this match with the Marowak lead. They're hitting me with all the Shadow Boners, and we're going to farm it the whole way down. Now we've got almost 2 Rock Slides. The opponent goes for a Mirror Shot here or something. Or Power Whip, sorry. I'm going to go for a 1-in-4 for good timing here. And I should be 1 off the next move. So I'm thinking the opponent most likely shields this. They actually let it go, and I go for another 1-in-4. I thought the opponent might want to shield this. I could have arguably went for a Moonblast. I was expecting the shield, but I've made a big mistake here. I completely forgot that the Dugong was getting to this move. Now they're in a position where they can probably take me out. They still have a shield, so there's no way for me to win this. Or so you would think. I decided at the last second that the opponent's on 1 HP, so even if they shield this move, they're going to get knocked out through the shield. There's a mechanic in this game where if the opponent has 1 HP in the shield, you'll still get a knockout because it still does 1 damage. So absolutely amazing win there. Good games to the opponent. I misplayed there. I definitely could have tried to catch the move and then maybe look to go to farm down with Carbink, but GG's nonetheless. And hopping into the next one, we have the Serperior Mirror. Now, I've got about 5 attack on this thing, so I typically do win CMP ties. Now, oftentimes when you're in the mirror match and you win CMP, it's the opponent's best play usually to go for some sort of a catch. They may try to catch a resisted move on something like a Steelix. I've seen a lot of these with Carbinks and Steelixes in the back, or even both of them, so that's something to keep in mind. It's a little bit hard to predict it. I overfarm as much as possible here and look too far off the Aurelius. The opponent actually lets it go, and we're going to look to go for the CMP tie, and of course they catch it in for Alligator. Now, them catching in for Alligator is not the worst thing in the world, because I can chip it into hopefully roughly drill run range. The opponent will go for a Crunch here immediately. I'm perfectly fine to let this go, especially, they go for a Hydro Cannon for some reason. I guess the opponent must be an Ice Beam. If this was a Shadow, this would probably KO, but unfortunately they're non-Shadow, they do live it, and we will have to look to farm it down. Now, one more Hydro Cannon is going to start getting me quite low here. I'm trying to my absolute best to commit to this farm down, but the opponent makes it to another one. Kind of frustrating here, but that's perfectly fine. We're in super low health. The opponent comes back in with Serperior. I just decide, like, I want to debuff your final Pokemon. That's pretty much what I'm deciding here. It's Carbink in the back, and I'm really happy I decided to shield, because I can get off 1 Icy Wind and 1 Drill Run, which will basically look to put a big chip into it. I can come in with my own Carbink at this stage. They're debuffed, and even though they've got 2 shields and I've got 0, like, look at this, there's no way they can win this match. The moves already do so little. It's going to take them like 4 Moonblasts to KO me here. And yeah, I'm just farming them down so quickly, so good games well played to the opponent there. In the next match, we're playing it in the Shadow Realm, and the opponent has a Sableye lead. So this is kind of an awkward matchup. I think if you play this out in the 2s, against the Shadow at the very least, you can go straight Aurelius. The opponents do like to call these moves sometimes, as at the minute I have just absolutely no luck when it comes to baiting. Whenever I full send the move, they shield. Whenever I bait, they no shield. I decided to fire this move straight off, but unfortunately an Aurelius is not going to KO, so I should have just went for Frenzy at this point. If I went for Frenzy, the opponent probably shields it, but whatever. We come into the Dugong here. Out of Dugong and Carbink, Dugong definitely is a better safe swap, and it is a really good thing that we decided to save the Serperior. We can definitely put in some work here. What I think I decide here is to once again go for 1 Drill Run and 1 debuff, and that's basically going to allow me to come into my own Carbink, get an absolute shitload of energy. They're down into the deep yellow at this point. We're going to farm them the whole way down with our own Carbink. I can tank multiple Moonblasts, absolutely no problem here. They go for a Rock Slide here, and I think the opponent realizes, like, if I get so much energy, this could start to become a problem. They go for Moonblast, and I think, yeah, they get the debuff, which is so annoying. They come into Mandibuzz, and even though this is a pretty hard wall for Serperior, we're just in such a dominant position now. Even though they still have 2 shields, and they have 3 Pokemon, Carbink can just do so much work. We'll get some little chips in with Serperior here, get it down into like 65% health. The opponent basically has to save a shield. I'm going to go for 1-in-4 for good timing. At this point, I should probably be looking to commit to fast moves, because both of their Pokemon in the back are quite low health. Now, all of these moves are resisted, and I'm thinking Mandibuzz's moves are going to hit less hard than anything else in the back, right? Like, I would probably rather shield a Moonblast, or I'd probably rather shield like a Foul Play if a Sableye gets to it. This is kind of tricky. I'm getting super low. They do go for Dark Pulse, and at this point, I think the opponent only builds up to an Aurelius, so I let this move through. I'm forced to let this move go. I cannot allow myself to go down shields. The opponent probably will come in with Sableye, try to get off a move. We farm it the whole way down, and at this point we build up to back-to-back Rock Slides. The opponent did have some energy in Carbink. My Stinky Binky has got 2 Rock Slides ready to go, and that's going to be enough to win the match. I might have been able to farm it down, but I'd rather not risk it. Good games to the opponent. And with this 5th and final game of the set, we go all the way up to 2897, which is absolutely amazing. This is my highest elo this season. Now, unfortunately, after the set, I had a lot of unfortunate things happen. I think you're going to see it in this matchup right here. We have this lead coming into the Annihilate. We lose lead, we lose swap, but as I mentioned, you know, hopefully if we can get a farm down later on, we can look to threaten the Mantine. The thing is, with Ape against Dugong, they can overfarm so much in this matchup here. They surprisingly shielded the first move, and they throw this next move on alignment, so I kind of wish I went for the extra. I thought that they would go for the Shadow Ball, which is the only reason why I shielded that. Just because they went for the CMP tie, that's typically what you would look to do. They go for a Night Slash here. I'm thinking, okay, we've got them debuffed, so they're in a nice range. The opponent actually, I think, went for an undercharge and farms all the way down. Now at this point, because I think that they might get to a bigger move, I decided to come into Carbink just to absorb the energy. It's just not a Night Slash. In comes xehr, and this is looking pretty hard counter, unfortunately. The opponent will get off an Aqua Tail here or a Mud Bomb. A team like this is always going to be tricky to beat. I'm not too sure what the best way is to beat this team, to be completely real with you. I think if you were to safe swap Carbink, the opponent comes into the xehr. Maybe you can farm down the xehr the whole way with the Serperior then, and look to try and sweep Mantine and Ape with your Dugong and Serp. It's definitely very tricky. There's not really an amazing answer here. Unfortunately, the opponent will just outpace me. They're a little bit afraid of getting hit by this Frenzy, but like it definitely doesn't KO. I'm thinking and hoping that maybe I can just get off this Frenzy. Look to like farm it down with Carbink and do something. But unfortunately, the switch clock is up, or actually the opponent just throws off the move. So yeah, good games. A very, very tricky team to beat. The Mantine with Water Pulse kind of makes it a little bit worse. Now in this next matchup here, we have a great lead, Poliwrath. They come into a Steelix right here, which is quite interesting. I decided to stay in and chip first. Because they swapped and got the 1-turn swap, I can throw the move immediately, because it'll be basically like 12 turns into 13. That ended up being a CMP tie, which that should not have been the case, because the opponent should have had a 1-turn swap. So them being able to CMP tie that move is absolutely stupid. Psychic Fang's coming in. We go for a free and throw here, just before they get to the next move. I'm basically looking to get rid of this, but I'm also looking to get myself a little bit lower. I'm happy to take another Psychic Fangs here, because I don't want the Poliwrath to get a huge energy lead. Because again, yeah, I decided to let like an extra Dragon Tail through there, just to make sure that it's like 1 or 2 counters at the most. I don't want them to get a huge energy lead, but the game's already not functioning quite right here. We're up a shield, and we do have 2 Pokemon, so we should still be fine here. The opponent comes into a Gligar, I come into the Carbink. Now, in the 1-shield scenario, Carbink wins this match going straight Rock Slide, so that's something to keep in mind. What I like to do, if I, let's say for example, face off against this in this situation, I always shield the first move. They almost never bait. I think out of probably 20 Gligars, one of them baited, and it's such a risky bait because you don't actually have to shield that move. It comes nowhere close to knocking out, you're just shielding it because you think that it's a hard-hitting move. We go for a Moonblast on the Poliwrath here. The opponent will definitely get to an Icy Wind, but at this range it's not going to be enough. We're going to go for the Frenzy Plant. The opponent gets off the Icy Wind here first, and yeah, this should be basically curtains for them. We're going to look to go for this Frenzy Plant. We're going to charge this all the way up, and yeah, good games to the opponent, or so I thought. The game was stuck like this for minutes after minutes, and I waited for a while, but unfortunately the Frenzy Plant never went through. I restarted my app, looked at my journal, and it looks like I lost that match. Fantastic game, Niantic, and hopping into the next one, we have a Ferrothorn. Sorry, this is a swap into a Ferrothorn. This is kind of awkward here, because Serperior is my main Ferrothorn answer, so kind of tricky. I'm pretty much forced to stay in here. I think I start, because I was getting a little bit tilted by that last match, I think I start throwing in bad timing and start just playing, yeah, like, did I even throw 1 and throw there? I'm not even sure if I did or not. We're going to look to try and get rid of this, or get it as low as possible. My thinking is, if I can chip this one more time, I might be able to look to shield once and farm it down with Dugong. We'll look to go for this move right here. Or maybe I decide just to hard take alignment. I'm not too sure what I do here. Oh yeah, I come into Dugong now. I can definitely tank a Power Whip. If they get to a second one, I will shield it. Because Dugong is actually a decent answer to xehr. They wanted to swap back into the xehr. We go immediately for the Icy Wind. Now, I'm not expecting the opponent to go for a bait, just because the Mud Bomb will not KO, and just because I've got a Serperior in the back, I think it's unlikely that they go for a bait, and I'm happy enough if I can get more shields down for Carbink. So we go for an Icy Wind. The opponent has xehr in the lead, they have a Ferrothorn in the back, so I think it's extremely unlikely that they have a third answer to Carbink. We're going to find out here. We get some shields down. I could potentially try to go for a sneaky Rock Throw down, but I decide, yeah, Vine Whips are a little bit safer. I believe this is just a Mud Bomb, and because the Ferrothorn's quite low, even if they do take me out, I'm pretty fine, but yeah, it's Mandibles in the back. Complete and utter RPS for the win. Good games to the opponent there. Once that Carbink came in, that was just curtains for them. Now we get the Farforn lead. You oftentimes see a team of this, Mantine and Gligar in the back. Basically, all you need to do is win lead, put your Carbink on the Mantine, and your Dugong on the Gligar, and it's the easiest victory of your life. You win the zeros against Farforn with Serperior, so it's a pretty comfortable matchup. Even if they go for straight Mirror Shot or straight Power Whip, it doesn't matter. If they have Flash Cannon, which they rarely do, it can be a little bit tricky. The opponent comes into a Ninetales, I come into the Stinky McBingerton. Now the opponent actually completely misplays this matchup. They don't go for the Dazzling Gleam. You should be going for Dazzling Gleam. If you're using a Alolan Ninetales, Dazzling Gleam is more energy efficient. Now I decided to throw the move here because I thought they will build up and go for a Weather Ball first, Dazzling Gleam second, which, believe it or not guys, comes very close to KOing the Carbink. I've played this matchup out a couple of seasons ago, and whenever players play this matchup correctly, this is not as good for Carbink as you would think it is. A Gleam plus a Weather Ball gets you extremely low, if not takes out, so like the opponent completely misplayed. I could have just farmed them the whole way down. I decided to save my Carbink because I had a feeling it might be like just triple weak to fire. Grass on the lead with double ice. I thought, oh yeah, triple weak to fire team. They go for 2 Mirror Shots. This will not KO me, and it is actually a Cresselia. Now the opponent fortunately does not get any debuffs, and these Frenzy Plants are going to look to threaten a lot of damage. Frenzy Plant number 1, Frenzy Plant number 2. The unfortunate thing is the opponent will get a lot of energy, but we have both shields, and Dugong with 2 shields up should be perfectly fine against the Cresselia. Because we're going to look to Icy Wind them, we're going to shield this first move. The opponent's one off the next move, so what I decided to do is pause the turn and come into Carbink for the catch. Hopefully the opponent does not go for an undercharge, that would be kind of annoying, but the opponent's basically dry on energy now, and they're still switch locked, so I'm pretty comfortable in going for these Icy Winds. Icy Wind only does a little bit less than a Drill Run, because it is a stab move, so going for these Icy Winds is a little bit better. Now, because I've debuffed them already, I decide I want to take this move. The reason being is because they're going to be able to clear their debuff, swap out, clear the debuff, and basically look to hit me with a full strength Grass Knot. So I need to save a shield for that particular Grass Knot. The opponent goes for the catch, so we no longer have to worry about that. We go for the Drill Run, and it's going to be good games. So that is something to keep in mind. When the opponent still has 2 Pokemon left, they can potentially swap out, so shielding both of the moves at the start is a bit of a misplay, because they will be able to swap out and then hit you with a harder hitting move at the end. So anyway, good games to the opponent, and hopping into the next match, we're playing Serperior versus Penguin. We win this matchup in the 2s, they win the 0s and the 1s I think, we win this match in the 2s. Actually, do I die? Yeah, I think I probably do die to a Drill Peck. They definitely win the 1s, but we just outpace the Frenzy Plants, because it's 6-6-5 for Frenzy Plant, and it's straight 6 for the thing, but the opponent lets the move go! What are they going to come in with here? Surely the opponent has got some hard answer. They do have a hard answer, it's Giratina, and if you guys have been around for a minute, you'll have seen that whenever they have Empoleon, and they have a Dragon, they most likely have like either Double Ghost or Double Dragon, right? Giratina Sableye, this is a team that I've been using with Skarmory, so the opponent's using Empoleon Double Ghost. Empoleon lead basically comes with a variation of a few things, right? It's either going to be Double Ghost, Double Dragon, or even Double Fairy in the back. So whenever you get Empoleon lead with your Serperior, and you've got a Dugong and a Carbink in the back, you play that match out to your heart's content. You basically either, you go straight Frenzy Plant by the way, you don't fuck around going for the baits in that matchup. You pause the turns, make sure the opponent's not going to catch, and in the 2 shield scenario, like I said, you will get to the 3rd Frenzy Plant in 5. You do not allow the opponent to catch a Frenzy Plant. Typically and generally, you should be winning this match super easily if it is a team like this. A Carbink just completely destroys the backline, so if you get that alignment, you're basically fine. Steelix lead, the opponent comes into a Cresselia. Cresselia beats Carbink. I'm pretty sure it just about beats the Dugong as well. Now at this point, I could have considered coming into Dugong, but because the energy is a little bit misaligned, I'm not really comfortable to do so. I still have another answer to Steelix in Dugong, and Carbink, even though it's a negative typing matchup, is pretty fine into it, because we double resist the Dragon Tails. I'm happy to stay in here because Serperior basically wins this matchup, and 2 Frenzy Plants KOs, and I'm thinking like I can even get out of here with energy. So like the worst thing they could have in the back is like a fire type, but let's say it's a flyer, which it is. In this case we come into Dugong, we don't come straight into the Carbink, because Carbink would be the hard answer. So we're basically playing this like an ABB team, even though this is not on the lead, right? The opponent's coming into something, we have 2 answers to it, and we're going to come into our soft answer, which is also a good answer to Steelix. The opponent is on Thunderfang, which is hilarious, but I decide like I'm going to get your shields here. We're not mucking around. We go for the Drill Run first time, we go for the Icy Wind second time around, and yeah, as soon as I see the Carbink, it's basically game over. The opponent's going to be forced to throw in another move here. This is going to take us out. I come into Carbink, and the opponent will see the writing on the wall immediately. Good games well played to the opponent. Carbink just absolutely destroys that backline, and Serperior versus Empoleon. We're going to try to play this match out the same way. Now, I'm seeing a lot of Empoleons no-shielding this move, so I don't recommend going for the bait. Don't go for the CMP tie, go for the overfarm. Troll Pack coming in, we're going to overfarm. I pause the turn, make sure they do not catch on me. Bang, the opponent lets it through. I'm going to overfarm a little bit here, and I'm going to come into Stinky Binky. We can tank 3 Aquatails. Whenever they get to the 4th one, it gets a little bit tricky. It starts getting dicey where they can almost Dragon Breath you down. We're going to tank the 2nd one. I think I decided to throw the move before they get to the 3rd one. Actually, yeah, 3 maybe just about KOs here. So you want to tank 2 and then throw the move. You probably can just like shield farm down, but because they have an Empoleon, I don't want to try to save this Pokemon here. Like, I don't care about it. The Empoleon is quite low. I'm thinking my Dugong is going to be good against anything that's in the back, right? We've already seen 1 Dragon, so it's most likely Empoleon double Dragon. They come into Dragonite, we come into Dugong. Good games, thank you for playing, and I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, drop a like, subscribe, go check out xehr felrose's channel, fantastic content creator, good pal of mine. Big thank you, xehr, for the team. It's helped me out an absolute ton, and for everybody watching here, I do highly recommend checking it out for yourself. Thanks for everybody, have a fantastic rest of your day, drop a like, subscribe. Big thank you to all of our members and channel supporters who've been tuning into the streams. I really appreciate the support and it has been absolutely incredible. If you haven't yet done so, guys, I have a Discord community for everybody. Feel free to join us up in there. And apart from that, guys, have a good rest of your day. Catch you all tomorrow.